Hi everyone, welcome to Olivia Optometry, where we talk about important things in a way that sounds like you're chatting with your friends. Today, I'm super excited to chat with Dr. Maria Liu, eye doctor, PhD, professor at UC Berkeley, and basically a superhero that saves eyes. I'm Olivia, I'm 14, and full disclosure, I'm myopia myself. I used to use atropine drops, and now I wear special contact lenses that help keep my eyes in check. Now, I want to spread the word and maybe even save some of you from having squinty eyes just like me. Dr. Liu, quick question before we get into eyeballs and science. Are you a coffee or tea person? And how many cups does it take to keep a myopia researcher awake?
That's a great question. I would say I'm definitely both. I like to start with coffee in the morning, and for the rest of the day, I like both green tea and oolong tea. I would say at least 3 to 4 cups a day, if not more.
I really like tea. I really like tea too. My favorite tea is rose tea, actually. So I did some research on myopia and I know that it's nearsightedness. And I think to some people it may sound simple, but I bet it's a lot more complicated. Can you explain what really goes on behind the eyes of someone who is myopic? Like, why can you see your phone clearly, but not the whiteboard across the classroom?
Yeah, so nearsightedness is actually a very common condition, especially among Asian kids. And it's essentially that the axial length is the length from the front to the back of the eyes being too long relative to the refractive component of the eyes, mostly the cornea, which is the front refractive surface of the eye, as well as the crystalline lens. And although myopia tends to be a multifactorial condition, but it's been pretty well acknowledged that the rapid increase in the prevalence of myopia in a global scale is actually due to a drastic change in the lifestyle. And so, for example, early introduction of handheld devices, kids spend a lot of time doing gaming, social media, instead of exploring outdoor. This has been considered as one of the major risk factors for myopia. And so, as you mentioned, myopia has very typical signs where your near vision is less or unaffected, but your distance vision is significantly affected.
I didn't know that. Why is it that Asian kids are experience myopia more often?
This is also a great question. People are arguing whether it's a genetic factor versus an environmental factor. And now it's becoming less confusing that it's definitely more of an environmental change. In general, Asian parents tend to be more academically driven. And so kids have started doing a lot of intense near work much earlier than kids from other parts of the world. So the academic stress and also an urban living, meaning especially in Asian countries, we're living in crowded apartments. We don't have as much of a distance viewing, uninterrupted distance viewing. And these are also contributing to the faster increase in the prevalence of myopia in Asian population.
Oh, so it's due to many factors, for example,
Mhm.
genetic and your habits.
Yes. So how you use your vision is probably the dominating factor of why it's affecting more in Asian population compared to other ethnicity.
And also around some people around me, I noticed that they think myopia is no big deal. Like, for example, they think you can just like slap glasses on. Is there a way that people think so?
Yeah, this is also a very, very common misconception. Myopia at very low level, people are only thinking, oh, this is a very benign refractive error. There's nothing to worry about it. This is actually incorrect. Myopia, even at very low level, increase the risk of a lot of bad complications. For example, due to this excessive elongation of the eyeball, the back part of the eyes is actually experiencing a lot of stretching or stress. And so the risk of retinal detachment, retinal tear, and glaucoma or bad blood vessels called neovascularization are happening at an exponential scale with increasing levels of myopia. And so myopia not only causes visual problems, but it also increases the risk of retinal complications. which may lead to irreversible vision loss in the future.
Oh, I never knew that myopia could be this serious. And I also did some research and I heard about Myopia 2050. What exactly is it about? And should we be preparing for a future where everyone is walking around with glasses?
This is already not, we don't have to wait until 2050. This is actually becoming a very common theme. When I was in middle school, high school, there were less than 50%, or sometimes even 20% of students that requires glasses. But now it's being reported, especially in China, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and high school kids, more than 70% of them are nearsighted. And in fact, this problem is becoming so prevalent that Chinese government had to actually change the vision criteria for army, for people recruiting for army. And because we don't have a lot of people walking around with a good uncorrected vision. And so this is definitely becoming a very significant public health concern.
Oh, yeah, I noticed around me too, like many of my classmates are like nearsighted, even if it's not very extreme, they're like all wearing glasses or maybe contacts. And so, like you said, like a lot of people are wearing glasses now due to their habits, right? And was there also something in the water, or was it just plainly based on like smartphones, video games, habits, and like genes?
So the exact weight of each factor's contribution to myopia, it's not very well understood. It's probably a combination of very early introduction of all of these devices or reduced outdoor time, and combined with increasing academic stress, and also combined with the gadgets, or changing the way of how kids are actually learning knowledge. It used to be the case that we're staying in the classroom and taking frequent breaks outdoor and reading paper books and doing homework on paper. But now, even for most of the courses, especially during COVID time, a lot of the courses are being converted into online or remote learning. So the inevitable use of electronic devices, especially pads or cell phones where the working distance is a lot closer, that definitely cause a lot of stress to people's vision. So think about myopia as an adaptive problem. Millions or hundreds of millions of years ago, whether as a prey or as a predator, you need a very clear distance vision to survive. But nowadays, you don't need a very clear distance vision for survival, but instead, you need to be able to read things on the computer, programming on the computer. So this is our visual system's adaptation to a drastically changing lifestyle. We spent much more time doing up close work than spending time at distance. And so our visual system is adapting to this change and becoming nearsighted, because for nearsighted eyes at near, your effort in focusing is much, much less than non-nearsighted people.
Oh, so our body is slowly adapting because due to what we need more nowadays?
Yes. So this is a very concerning thing. And another important point to mention is that, yes, eventually we will start using cell phones and other gadgets because this is becoming an indispensable part of our life. But sometimes kids or even infants and toddlers are being introduced to these gadgets way too early. And it frees up the parents' labor. They can do their own things. If they want to have a nice, like a family dinner, they can just, put an iPad on the baby's hand. Baby can actually play with the iPad for hours without causing any problem. But the earlier the introduction of those devices, because the visual system is a lot more plastic when we're younger, it causes a lot more damage than introducing these devices at a later age. And so even if this is becoming inevitable, I would still recommend staying away from electronic devices as much as possible until it's becoming completely unavoidable. So no cell phones or iPads for babies.
There's also some schoolwork that really requires you to do things online. Are there any ways to like ease the stress on the eyes? Any solutions?
Yeah, that's also a great question. Yes, obviously it's impractical, not feasible to ask kids not to do their homework or not to attend school. But if you're taking online courses, if at all possible, I would strongly recommend to use an external large screen monitor and use external keyboard and mouse. That way your working distance is much further away than doing it on your laptop. Anything you can do on a large screen monitor, do not do it on your laptop. Anything you can do further away, do not do it on the handheld devices. So this is very important. Another recommendation I have is to break down these online sessions into shorter sessions and interleave with a very good outdoor break. And we keep talking about outdoor exposure. It's not so much as the accumulative time you spend outdoor that matters. It is how frequent and how it's interject with the near activity that actually matters more. Meaning, immediately after your near session, that's really the time the outdoor break can make the most benefit. And so cut the prolonged reading or online sessions into multiple shorter sessions and go outdoor immediately after each session.
Hmm. I'm using a monitor now, so that's one step closer to saving my eyes. And like you said, shorter sessions. So I searched up online and I noticed that some people say there's a 20/20 rule. Does that really work or help your eyes?
Unfortunately, the 20-20-20 rule, which was originally developed to alleviate eye strain, this rule does not work for the protection of a myopia. 20-20-20 rule basically says every 20 minutes of reading or near work, you need to look far 20 feet beyond, so about 6 meters for 20 seconds. Now, two of the three 20-20-20 doesn't work for myopia protection. Number one, for 20, looking at far for 20 feet or beyond, this is just not enough. Even if you have a very large living room where your distance vision, central vision is looking at 20 feet or above, but your side vision is still crowded by the ceiling, by the floor, by the furnitures. And so the eyes are not relaxing sufficiently. And you really need to go outdoor where you're looking at almost infinity and all of your peripheral vision are looking at far. And that way, the spatial resolution from outdoor objects are very, very different than what you're seeing from a large indoor environment. The second component in the 20-20-20 rule is the 20 seconds of break. This is also not good enough. For humans' visual system to realize you actually are taking a break, it takes minutes for the eyes to know they're actually looking at far, they're getting some protective signals. And so for any type of outdoor break, it needs to be at least 3 to 5 minutes long, if not longer. So 20 seconds of a break is not enough to relax vision.
Oh, I've actually been trying to use the 20/20 rule myself, but I'm guessing that's not really gonna work now. And there's also some things that I've heard online that is about like making your vision worse or better. And here's one that I've like heard a lot. Like reading in the dark ruins your eyes. Is that real or is that just like an old wives' tale?
So reading in the dark or any kind of a setup that's causing a lot of eye strains is not good. But how much is actually causing people to become nearsighted, that has not been very well tested. I would strongly recommend not reading either in a dark setting or lying in the bed where sometimes you're tilting a lot. The viewing distance is very asymmetric for one eye versus the other. All of these are triggers for eye strain. And certainly, theoretically speaking, they can actually cause or accelerate myopia development. And good ambient lighting to make sure you're reading at as comfortable as possible is very important.
Is natural lighting like better for your eyes than, for example, lights?
That may not be the case. We don't actually need natural lighting, but you need lighting to be to make vision very comfortable without causing a lot of glare, without causing a lot of a backscatter. And so most of the indoor lighting with the LED setting in different light temperature, it can be custom tailored to each person's preference. Some people prefer the light to be a little bit cooler color. Some people prefer the warmer, like almost like a yellowish tinted light. So far, we haven't had any research evidence showing one type of like lighting temperature is more beneficial than the other. This is more of a personal taste. But the overall rule is you need to have a good, bright enough ambient lighting, but without causing a lot of scattering or a lot of glare.
Comfortable for you.
Yes. Yes,
And
it's bright enough and it's comfortable.
and there's also another one that I've heard like carrots make your eyesight perfect. Is that true? Or did like when you start a secret campaign?
Beta carotene versus, and as well as a lot of herbal nutrients. Unfortunately, none of those food supplements had any kind of evidence showing their benefits in myopia prevention or protection. Unless you're someone who has very, very imbalanced diet, beta carotene or carrots doesn't actually add too much additional value.
Okay. And if you had a magic wand to give like parents three golden rules to help save their kids' eyesight, what would they be?
That's a great question. I would probably ask parents to make a puppy and ask their child to walk their dogs every day multiple times
I have a dog right
with the
now.
magic wand.
And what's the coolest thing happening in myopia research right now? Like any new high-tech treatments or any eye-saving gadgets on the horizon?
I'm not sure if there is one coolest thing. There are a lot of cool things that are happening. For example, there are a lot of research on wearable devices where we can keep track of how you use your eyes every day and how much outdoor, indoor time, and how do you actually, what's the pattern of those activities? And also something to track the quality or the pattern of your overnight sleep so that we can better understand how the behavioral factors play a role in the development of myopia. And on the treatment side, there are also a lot of research, both on optical interventions as well as pharmaceutical interventions, for those patients who are already myopic and to see how we're able to slow down this progress, but able to maintain a very good quality of their vision without causing a lot of side effects. So there are a lot of multiple research directions, but so far we haven't seen anything that's capable of eradicating myopia, at least not in my lifetime. I don't think so.
Hmm. Well, is there like a gadget that you hope to like invent or like maybe make it accessible for all to use?
I'm not sure. I think this can be a double-edged sword. Having gadgets, usually they're electronic gadgets, and it can probably motivate kids to do something, but at the same time, it takes away of their time to truly explore the nature. So I don't know. I think gadgets, if improperly used, may actually cause more harm than benefit.
I never thought about it in that way. So do you think there will be like a day where myopia stops growing as a problem or maybe even shrinks?
You mean for as a consequence of the intervention or treatment, or like naturally?
Mm, both. Or which one would like help myopia more?
So technically speaking, the eyes size does not shrink. Human eyes, the outermost layer is called sclera. This is a tough layer of a connective tissue. This tissue is made predominantly in the fibrous tissue. So it's capable of a passive expansion. It's not able to proactively cause any reformation so that it can actually shrink the eyes. So most of the shrinking in human eyes are actually due to pathology. And to my knowledge, I have not seen any of a reversible axial shortening that's sustainable and that's significant that can actually make to revert myopia progress. And that's why early intervention is very important, because what we can do from this point forward is to prevent or to reduce a further stretching or elongation of the eyes. So the earlier we can start, the more effective we're able to slow down this process from the top cascade. For some devices that claim to be able to cause an axial reduction or the shortening of the eye length, that's probably due to a confounding from some changes in the thickening of the choroid, which is a layer right behind the retina that's very affluent in vasculature or lymphatic tissue. With the dilation of the blood vessels in this layer, it's going to push the retina forward a little bit, giving you a shorter apparent shortening of the axial length measurement. But that's not the true axial shortening. So to my knowledge, I don't believe human myopia is a reversible process.
So maybe the future generations, they would have a chance of not experiencing myopia, but the people that currently have it, the best thing they can do is to prevent it from getting worse.
Yeah, for future generation, it's probably still at each individual level. Some kids in that generation will have less myopia, some will have more, but I don't believe myopia is going away.
Mm. That's something that I should really think about.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also some questions that are just quick, really quick. So just say the first thing that pops into your mind. What's the best thing of
Rapid
being,
fires, huh?
yep. What's the best thing about being an eye doctor?
Being able to work with kids,
What's the worst habit that people have that hurt their eyes?
gluing their vision on their cell phones,
If you weren't an eye doctor, what would you be?
probably a psychologist or pediatrician.
Ah, what's one tech gadget that you cannot live without?
My cell phone.
And favorite eye-related pun or joke?
Oh, I don't think I have one.
I have one. I searched this up online everywhere. I think
Uh-huh.
the one that I like the best is I really love eye jokes. The cornea, the better.
That's a good one.
And that's all I have so far for rapid fire answers.
Okay.
And Dr. Liu, thank you so much for making myopia actually fun to talk about and sharing your amazing knowledge with us. Where can we find more about information on you and your study on myopia 2050?
So you can find me very easily, just like a Google Dr. Maria Liu myopia management. You should be able to find my contact both for the Pleasanton Clinic as well as my contact at Berkeley, where I teach students and do myopia research.
I'll be sure to
Yeah.
check that out. And to everyone
Mhm.
watching, take care of those eyeballs unless you're a cartoon character. Then maybe all bets are off.
Thanks for having me, Olivia.
No, I'm thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge
Mhm.
with us.
Yeah, have a great day.
You
Mhm.
too. Have a great day.
Mhm. Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching. Bye. But we're not done yet.